Hey now, it's Ruben with Help Find the Others. Hope everyone's doing good, whatever time or day you may be watching this. Um, as always, grateful for anyone that listens to podcasts still, as old as those episodes may be. Anyone who watches YouTube videos as infrequently as I may post them, and for anyone that hops in these live chats as randomly and unannounced as I may do them. I know I hear from a lot of people that you watch the live stream afterwards, so I kind of record them as a video, but it's always fun for whoever drops by in the the chats and leaves comments and stuff like that. So yeah, Stan and I planned on or had rough plans to do a live stream tonight to talk about recap last year and talk about where this year's headed. Which it's like one of the funnier memes I've seen is like most people thought 2021 was going to be better than 2020, and then it says like 6 fucking days into 2021 and it has a picture of the man bear pig guy on the at the Speaker of the House podium or whatever that was. So figured I had a lot to talk about there. I hope to get into 2020 was a big year of personal growth for myself. And wanted to get into where I see that going and where I can motivate others to keep moving forward. So, I mean, first off, my thoughts on, I think one of the last live streams Stan and I did was on, the election night or whatever, where I had the shirt and tie on and whatever. I mean, we mentioned several times in there, like, I don't really want to talk about politics, but it's like campaign season makes you talk about politics. And going forward in the new year, I don't want to just talk about politics or just talk about crypto. But fuck, man, in the first week of this year, it seems like that is really going to be all, it's going to be very hard to focus on anything else. I mean, I'm definitely going to try. I'm definitely going to, I hope to bring some other elements to my attention and life this year other than politics and crypto, but fuck, are they both fucking interesting right now, and it's really hard to get out of that reality tunnel. And I'm not really emotionally attached to either of them. I more so crypto than politics, but it's just such an entertaining show that I just can't stop. It's not much different than like I don't know. I can't think of a show that I've had this in a while, but like if there's some really shitty reality show or contest show, and it sucks, and it sucks, and it's all scripted, and every fucking commercial breaks a cliffhanger that comes back, and it's not as bad as it thought or whatever. They're all the same way, but you still watch every season. You still fucking go to sleep every night watching that show. That's kind of how politics is to me. I've talked to a lot of people, especially, people who identify as liberals or Democrats, and they saw what happened the other night or the other day in Washington, where the rioters or protesters or whatever you want to call them, broke in and ransacked the Capitol building. Of like their perception of that is that it's scary, it's the Nazis taking over, it's whatever, a lot of other stuff. And then my friends who are on the right who potentially believe that they're in the right, that's what they think. This is revolution. This is how things get changed. They're doing God's work or whatever. They should have been more respectful and less violent, but still, like, they need to stand up. And then there's me And I'm not alone. And the fact that, the largest voter turnout ever for an election, still more people voted than didn't. I'm not alone in that, like, it's concerning that people died in this event and went there like kind of ready to die for it and stuff like that. And it's concerning that anyone can take what I totally see as a complete fucking dog and pony show and put your life on the line for that. Like, it's one thing if someone is in the military or a police officer or anything like that, where you're putting your line or your life on the line to defend or protect like your fellow people, your community, whether that's your country or your city or your state, whatever. There's one thing there to believe in that, and that's honorable. But to believe in, you should know by now that any campaign or election in the United States is complete bullshit, money grab, basically, by both sides. And that once all of these people get elected, everything they said goes out the window because it's all about making money from the lobbyists and keeping the lobbyists happy. So when I see anyone who feels so strongly to go put their life on the line for an election, for a politician, that's very discerning, because I'm all about raising our consciousness, raising our awareness, growing as people and as a community, and as a species, as a planet, and to move forward and grow. And, when I watched the nonsense going on the 6th, it just made me realize, like, man, I may be getting to where I want to go, but most of the people that at least live in this country are so far away from understanding, where their energy needs to go and where their attention and focus needs to go. And I can't imagine any election, let alone this one, invoking such emotion from me to where I was like, I got to go to fucking Washington, D.C. I got to go fucking storm the Capitol building. Like, I can't imagine that. I can imagine being upset if you think that there was fraud in the election. I can understand being pissed off, be like, these motherfuckers, or whatever, but not to the point where I'm going to, like, potentially make that the end of my life. Like, none of these fucking fuckers are worth that. And there seems to be so many people that are stuck on this, like, Civil War mentality or whatever, and are like, this matters more than my life. Like, that isn't true. Like, I don't get it. And so, like, that part makes me sad. And then on the liberal side of the people that are really scared by what's going on, that makes me sad too, because it's like they're not putting their life on the line, willing to end it for this situation, but they're willing to completely distract themselves from any sort of thing they should be working on, for basically what amounts to like an endless amount of pop-up windows in your browser while you're trying to fucking find out some interesting stuff. And there's just these things that come up in our life, and that happens anyway without politics, without most stuff. Like, we all should be focusing on one thing, or well, not one thing, but we should be focusing on a direction and understanding what's going to help us do that and have a more fulfilling life. And just things come in and demand our attention, and it sucks. And that can be just little things in your life that demand your attention. But then if you really sat and thought about it, you'd be like, I don't need to worry about that, whatever, and so, like, if I've been doing a lot of thinking that, the human experience is a simulation, is a reality tunnel, is a, computer program. And that's the analogy that I like using, is that, like, a lot of things that kill our focus, are are nothing more than pop-up ads, and the little thing that pops up and says, hey, LG6 user, you want a free whatever, like there's so much in life that's like that. And this whole Washington D.C. protest riot thing like feels like one of those. Honestly, it's really big and it affects a lot of people, and almost everybody's paying attention to it. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. I can get into it more. I see there's a few people watching. Thank you. A couple people gave a thumbs up. Definitely. Well, if you like my live streams, definitely give more thumbs up. That always helps. And Hart asked a simulation. Please get into this. Oh, sure. So the best way to get into talking about reality and consciousness as a simulation would be think of the movie The Matrix, right? I think that was one of the mainstream moment where people started thinking about that kind of as a philosophy, I would say, of how life is. And everything plays into that, look at what's happening with artificial intelligence. And so, the story in The Matrix is that the artificial intelligence took over the human race and started harvesting us for our, energy, and basically using humans as batteries, basically, I guess is what, that movie is about. And I don't think that is the case. I don't think that I don't think we're living some sort of simulation that is nefarious in any way. And I'm not even saying I'm like committed to the idea that life is a simulation. But if we want to explore that topic, a lot of how human brains work is really analogous to how computers work, especially when you figure psychedelics. Like I've always said, psychedelics is like, doing a defrag, running a defrag on your brain, on your operating system. And so like if you look at our brain is like a CPU. Reality is everything that we perceive through our senses. Our senses aren't much different than sensors in like some sort of, Android or something like that. So it's like, as you break down like our perception and our through either our senses or our thought processes, we don't look as like freewheeling as we think. Like there's definitely this programming that goes along with the human experience. Now a lot of that is societal programming. One way to look at that, like societal programming, would be to some extent, and I see both sides of this argument, and I'm not meaning to be controversial. I'm just using it. It's just the first topic that came to head, but gender. Okay. So, yes, biologically, there's males and females. I agree with that side of the whole gender debate. Right. But the idea of like, men should go to work and women should be, keep the home or something like that, which is a cultural norm that persists, and probably a majority of most humans, and if not just Americans, like that is cultural programming, right? And so the more that you believe that's just the way things are, that's reality, that's your programming, like holding that in, gender is just one issue. There's race plays into that. Age plays into that. I'm struggling to think of other things, but you could break a lot of what we consider like normal reality. If you start taking that apart, you're like, wait, is that just the programming? And so once you start realizing that there's cultural programming, you could start going, well, what's the other programming? Like, is thinking that we're the only life in the universe, the only life that there is that programming? Is thinking that uh it, you could even say that, like, thinking that the earth is round is a sort of programming, if you want to, like, get into the point where you don't believe science. So once you start playing with that idea of programming, you can start going like, what's the program? Why is there a program, right? And then, so if you start thinking about artificial intelligence, if you created an a virtual reality directed by artificial intelligence, how would you know if you're in it or not? And if that programming is not just programming that is proliferated by the people just living on the planet, what if that is programming that's put into that simulation, if we are in a simulation, to keep us, from going outside the map, or, to keep us playing the game the way it's supposed to be played? So, and if we were born into this, like, there's so many questions in philosophy of, like, where were we before here? Why do we not remember that? Then if you play with that idea of it being a simulation, it's like, what if this was just turned on? Like your consciousness started when, like, the program started for you, for your experience. And there's a Rick and Morty episode where they go to, like, a intergalactic Dave and Buster's. I forgot what it was called, like Blitz and Chips or something like that. I can't remember, but they play this game. Like, I think the game was like a just someone's name, like Dan or something like that. I can't remember, but he puts the helmet on and he lives like this whole life, right? And then he's like an old man getting something in his store, and he falls and dies, and, like, the helmet comes off, and Rick is there. He's like, "Oh man, yeah, you had a pretty good score, but what the fuck, you and Morty's like, "What? Huh? Where am I? Where's my wife?" He, like, totally, like, had been in that game so long and so deeply that, like, that was life to him, and Morty's like, "Yeah, you had a good score, but what the fuck? You went back to the goddamn wallpaper store after surviving cancer," and, like, it was, like, totally like it was a game. And so, like, that's a fun cartoon way to look at it, but it's very true. Like, how would we know if that when you die, like, this virtual reality headset doesn't come off of your true inner self, and you're like, wow, that was crazy. Like, I thought that was real for a minute. Like, you're right. I remember I put this headset on and I went to have this experience, but that's right. That's all it was just an experience. It's just a ride. It's just a game, And so I definitely could see that being the truth of reality, is that, we chose this existence, we chose this experience, and we're not really doing anything different than playing a super immersive Grand Theft Auto, or something like that. So then it comes down to, like, why, right? And so, to go back to the Matrix, the why they were in virtual reality, the why was because of the machines, using humans as batteries and keeping them alive and immobile and docile by giving them this, virtual reality program to live in. Like I said, I don't think the why is that nefarious. I think it's just that life has existed. The universe has obviously existed for a larger amount of time than we can even perceive with our stupid, fart of a lifetime. And so, I would say that it's logical to assume that life has existed for amount of time that we can't than we can't even imagine. And what if, life became, if there was other humans on another planet in another galaxy, And they got to the point of evolution where they were sick of dying. They were sick of this of the physical life ending, but realize that like consciousness is the key to life. Consciousness is how we go forward. And created technology to end life. But to end life means a whole lot of other things need to end too. You probably need to end pain. You need to end suffering. Without that eternal yang of death to the yin of life, what's the point, right? And so at that point, if life can evolve to being eternal like that, what if you miss the duality? What if you miss the negative things? Because without negative things, the positive things are not as sweet, And so what if you create, virtual reality right now to the cavemen on this planet is pretty amazing. Imagine in 1,000 years how good and immersive and believable that will be. So what if you found a way to extract your consciousness for a little bit from your physical body, which at that point, if you're eternal, is probably half machine anyway, right? And what if you were able to take your consciousness and upload it into, a virtual reality, monitored and dictated by artificial intelligence, and to experience a relatively short lifetime of all of the good and all of the bad, all of the regret, all the good and bad that come with life. And you could experience that for a little bit and almost feel alive again, I think that's much more likely that's what the cause of us being in a simulation are, is just that us from the past, which is really us in the future, created this experience to experience all the things that there are in life. And so I'm not saying I 100% believe that's what's going on, but when I read and hear about simulation theory, that's what I think, that there's some singularity in the future that we're headed towards, but probably already happened. I really, out of all that rambling, I guess what I'm getting at is like, I don't believe that there's been human type life with consciousness like ours that have not been at this point before, have not gotten past this point before. And once you reach that singularity, don't you think you could make reality? You could create a program or an experience that's impossible to tell it's an experience. And so I don't know. I guess that's my assumption of what simulation theory is. There's probably 1,000 other people that could tell you 1,000 other ideas about what it means to them. But that's what simulation means to me, if it is true, and the theory about reality and about everything and about the human experience, is that it's a simulation of some sort of computer program, but not in the way that we understand computer programs. I'm talking about a computer program on the spiritual level, on the sixth sense level. But if you add 1,000 years to our current technology, I think you're getting at being able to do that, being able to manipulate reality on those levels. So I don't know if that was getting into it enough for you and Hart, but I hope that made sense. I tend to kind of lose my train of thought and get back to it as best I can. So I don't know. I'll probably watch that back tomorrow and be like, what the fuck was I talking about? But Exotica says, always like hearing your thoughts, bro. Thank you. I'm glad someone likes hearing them. I do, until I decided to start recording videos and live streams and podcasts and stuff like that. Most of these thoughts were done in my backyard, pacing around, talking to my dogs, stuff like that. So it's good to have, at least, a handful of people to ramble at. This is stupid. Humans created climate change and less than 7% of workers without unions in the private sector. Humanity might end up destroying its own source of food. Artificial intelligence on the spiritual level. How about 40% of animals going extinct within the next 50 years? You're a smart dude, but this stuff is so theoretical, it's disconnected from spiritual reality. Well, yeah, so I was explaining what simulation theory meant to me, Vinny. I don't commit to anything but now. I don't commit to, most theories, I'm like, I could see how that is, most religions, I'm like, yeah, I could see how that is. So maybe you came in after I was already talking about it, but yeah, I'm talking about the theory of simulation, and you're more than welcome to not agree with that theory because, like I said, I see it as plausible, but and possible, but I don't. I wasn't saying that's what I really think is going on because I try not to think what's going on. I think a lot of. I forgot who said the quote, but I agree with it. That I think it was Terrence McKenna. It was either Terrence McKenna or Ellen Watts, but they said, the whole process of worrying about anything suggests that you know what the fuck's going on, and nobody does. So it all comes back to like all you can believe in is now, and yourself. Whoever you wake up and whoever's looking back at you in the morning and whatever thoughts are going through your head, that's what I believe in. That's one thing I have to thank psychedelics for is I've had such strong reality shattering experiences that there's a little bit of part of me in the back of my brain whenever anything's going good or bad, where I, there's a little part of me that's like, you're going to wake up and you're back in that trip, man. Like I've lived lifetimes, virtual lifetimes, with my eyes closed, laying down with a bunch of mushrooms in my stomach, and so everything going forward from that point is like, I don't know if it's real. I don't know, so yeah, that's how I feel about any theory about what's going on. I believe in a lot of science, but I have a problem with that. Like, unless there's proof, science is like, it's nothing. And I don't agree with that. I think there's instruments that are either available to us and we don't use widely enough, like our brain, or whatever perceives our spirituality, that science does not utilize as an instrument to detect things, and throws it in that catch-all phrase of anecdotal evidence, right? And so I believe a lot of the physical world and the how science has discovered it to be correct, but I can't rule out all the woo-woo weirdo stuff that most of us believe in, like, just because I haven't personally witnessed it, or science says that I did personally witness it, but it was, my brain fucking with me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get into that, but Alex, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. Vinny is going on, said, I would be surprised if humans don't end up destroying themselves before virtual reality. We don't know enough to worry, but wouldn't oil corporations want us to be not organizing scientists, have recorded reality for 200 years, and deforestation, climate change is a constant trend? Yeah. So okay, you're stuck on the climate change, and I'm not going to what's up, Farum Carbon? How you doing? I'm not going to deny that throughout the course of the existence of the universe, that there has been civilizations that have become world girdling. And what I mean by that is they never leave the rock that they were created on, and use up all the resources and kill themselves off, and that's it. So that goes into another theory, but the theory of the great filter of civilization in the universe, that there's a point where it's a resistance point in evolution where you either get past it and move past the war and famine and greed and ignorance of resources, and go. You have to get past that to work together to realize the goal is bigger than just accumulating things, right? And the goal is proliferating and exploring and keeping life moving past you. Thinking if the main focus of the human culture is to think larger than yourself, and that becomes the kind of consensus, is that we're all in this together and the future depends on us. If you don't have that realization, if you don't have that paradigm shift as a species, then you will girdle your world. And girdle is a forestry term of you strangle a tree by cutting a ring around it. And you will confine yourself to your own prison until your inevitable demise. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen and hasn't happened. I'm not going to say that we're not in that situation right now. However, let's say there's a chance that we're not. I'm not going to give up on it. You know what I'm saying? And so, I believe that, I guess I don't believe we're in a simulation, but I think we're in more control of how reality comes to us. I believe all things are possible. There's reality tunnels heading in every direction, and you can choose to go down whatever you want, and you can hop to different ones and whatever, and you can make that your reality. I'm not going to make this dystopian, we killed the world, so let's kill each other situation. I'm not going to make that my reality, and I'm not going to worry that reality is going to come crashing down, because what am I going to do about it? I don't know, and so, and it can be easy because the rectangle on your wall or in your pocket definitely wants to believe that's coming. So you better buy some shit, that's kind of like the whole fear kind of thing. And because I believe so strongly in the now, I don't want to be afraid right now. So I try to, try to rid myself from that anxiety about the future as possible, as much as I can. I mean, that's why meditation's been so fucking huge for me. And you just move forward. There's nothing I can do but make the situation better. So that's what I am going to do. I make the situation better for myself. I make the situation better for everyone in my sphere of influence. I'm not making these videos or these live streams to be like, hey, look at me. Here's my Patreon or whatever. Like I'm trying to help people, move forward and grow. And, so I hope it's not shocking that even myself, who, I have a degree in evolutionary biology, and I work in environmental resource protection and stuff like that, and frequently read papers on climate change or deforestation and reforestation, and I volunteer for I'm a volunteer like a naturalist and educator to teach people about like how they can help stop deforestation and how they can eradicate invasive plants and things like this. I'm very well aware of the climate problem, but I've seen personally what small groups of people can do to make an impact in their immediate surroundings. And the network effect in everything is important. And environmentalism is no different. And I believe that will continue to spread, um, much like we saw when people are upset with an election, they march down and try to do something about it. I think if we get to a point where our existence is in danger by our habitat, by our destruction of our habitat, I think we will get I think we will get to a point where that will enrage people so much that they will be storming down to the oil companies and the chemical companies and coal plants and whatever, and I also think a network effect in just our consumer actions will take over. The electric car has been a reality for a long time until Tesla made it cool, and Tesla made it affordable, and Tesla made it a status symbol. And I think that will continue to ramp up. I really think that I don't want to get into crypto yet. I will, but I really think that Bitcoin is going to be a big incentive for using cheaper, renewable, less impactful energy, because it is going to monetize that and incentivize the switch to it as traditional fossil fuel energy production becomes too expensive to mine Bitcoin. But anyway, I'll touch on crypto later. I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole. So let me catch up here. AR said there's no way it is the apocalypse. Well, I mean, it depends. If you take the term apocalypse as the end of the world, no, it's not. I don't believe that. And if it is, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So I'm gonna fucking drink my Negroni and make my YouTube videos and hit my one hitter and go coach my kids' basketball game and do all the things that are enjoyable while the get it while the getting's good kind of thing. But the Greek meaning of the word apocalypse is unveiling. And I do think that's what's going on. I think all throughout human history on this planet, I think that how do I want to put this? Either humans have been too stupid or too misled to understand like the truth of reality, the truth of existence, the truth of humanity, and stuff like that. And so for a long time, we were ruled by kings, and they were the funnel of truth, they just ran everything, and people gave them money and for really no protection, or they didn't get anything out of that deal. And then religion became the new kings, and they told people what the truth was and why those kings were around and blah blah blah. And then the kings and the religion became entwined and became hard to tell the difference. And that's kind of where we've been with religion and politics since. But what was the key thing during that whole time? Most people were illiterate, okay, and they couldn't. There wasn't a way to think for yourselves. You were living like a total subsistence lifestyle, ruled by, a religious figure or a monarch or whatever, a politician, a royalty, whatever you want to call it. Well, I think the first stage of enlightenment of humanity was most people learning how to read and learning how to think for themselves and research and look up and find out facts and stuff like that. And so that was a really big deal. And I think we've just been progressing since then to where now, I mean, the internet was a real singularity in itself, but a turning point of where it became harder for bullshit to be fed to us, and then unfortunately we're at the point now where maybe 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, we were at a point where if you take the American government, for instance, like they were getting to the point where they couldn't piss on us until it was raining anymore, So what did they do? What was their strategy? They divided and conquered us by making it that they don't have to tell us, they could piss on us and tell us the other guy did it, And so that's where we're at now. And eventually we'll get to enlightenment where we'll see through that. And I think we're at like the apex of that, like that, the divide and conquer mentality it peaked on January 6th when protesters broke into a museum where a bunch of 80-year-old people decide what to do with taxes they steal from a captive population. So I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe I need another one hitter. Yeah, I don't know. If anyone remembers why I started on that rant, write it in there. I'll keep reading through. Oh, the apocalypse, the unveiling. Like I said, I think this is the end of that divide and conquer, centralized like school of thought and everything. And so the unveiling is like, now we're going to see what we're really doing here, how we really impact each other. It's not the other guy's fault. It's our fault. And once everyone takes personal responsibility and gets some sovereign individuality, like then we will start to be able to get past that great filter. This is its own great filter. We have to get through the divisive, it's us versus them mentality. And I think we're going to start doing that. So in that case, if you're looking at it as an unveiling, it is the apocalypse, but in a good way. And I think we all come out of this with heightened consciousness. It's going to take you have to get thrown for a loop, and everything you thought was real has to be proven to be false or shown to you to be false. And for you to lose faith in it and really start struggling for what you do have faith in. And you know what you're going to find you have faith in? Your family, your community, yourself. And so I think that's where we're going. And I think that's where a lot of the problems you said about the environment and stuff like that. Yeah, that's where we're all going. It's a hard transition. We're leaving the industrial age and entering the information age. And that's a complete different world from what everybody that has given us, all of our elders that have given us, advice and insight into how the world works. Like that's all changing. We're on our own and we can make it how we want. And the more of us that choose to make it good will. And I'm not talking good and evil. I'm just when I say good, I mean like it, what serves us, what helps us, what makes us grow. And the best way I know is by living by example. I know a lot of people that this was a real year. Well, 2020 was a really tough year for them. It was the fucking best year of my life. A lot of shit sucked around me. I read a lot of fucking awful articles, awful social media posts, but I worked on myself. I worked on the people around me. And I'll say that like I had a great year and, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I think anyone who was in my sphere of influence, had a great year too, or a decent year or a better year than they would have if they weren't around me or didn't watch my videos or whatever, So like I said, I'm not trying to like be like, oh, look at me, whatever, but I've done all right. It's been a good year, or it was a good year. And this year's gonna be awesome too. It's gonna suck in a lot of ways. There's gonna be a lot of fucking scary shit that tries popping up in your browser. You just got to exit out, people prize being individuals, and they should, but you're spot on. We should think as a collective, right? So when I'm saying to be an individual, like it's the whole thing. Like if the plane's crashing and the air masks come down, you got to put your own on first, and then put everyone else's on. And if you're flailing around in the abyss like everyone else, it doesn't help until you fucking find your footing, and then you can start grabbing other people. If you go back to there's two videos that everybody watching this should go back and look at mine. One is the mission statement of the whole channel. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know why, but I had a calling to put my beacon out in the universe, and I did. And if you look, some people have even posted it or put comments and mentioned it. But I kind of were like, something's big coming. I don't know if it's a virus pandemic or what. I said some other things. I was just throwing that out there because as an evolutionary biologist, I knew the coronavirus was some situation that was going to happen. I looked in my old bio, textbook from college, and in the virus section, it has a whole page talking about how a respiratory coronavirus could come from wet markets in China or in Asia and become a global pandemic. And it talked about SARS-1. It was like in 2006. It said this in this book or whatever, So I've kind of known that. So that wasn't total prophecy that I said it could be a virus pandemic. But I mentioned that the others that I was trying to help find are it's like if everyone's asleep and someone wakes up because there's a fire going on in the room. Are you going to just run out the exit and leave everyone to die? No, you're going to wake other people up, and whoever can wake up and get out, you save them. And that's the same kind of situation we're in here. If you're watching what's going on in the world and be like, man, that's fucked up. You're still having a good time. You're still going forward. You're still growing. You're not doing that just for yourself. You're doing that so that you can help other people. And so that's being like, I'm reading a book called The Sovereign Individual, and man, it was written in 1999, and it nails this time in human history pretty much right down to the button. Yeah, so it's the book talks about how you can survive, but it's not like you can be some last man alive in the world kind of situation. It's you gotta wake yourself up so that you can wake everyone else up and save as many people as possible. So I was already tuned into that energy years ago when I started the channel, and I'm still tuned into that now, and I'm farther along that path, and I'm somewhat validated in that intuition I had. The other video I think people should go watch is right at the start of the pandemic. I kind of laid out how it was going to go, and yeah, go back and look at it. I'm not saying I'm a fucking prophet or something like that, but like the playbook the fucking government's using, and the way the numbers and actual like health impact on the world has played out. I saw it back then clearly, and I see it going the path forward. I see it just as clearly, and I'm even more validated in my feelings about where we're going because I was kind of right, mostly right, a year ago at this time, and what followed was shit that nobody would have expected and has caught almost everybody by surprise. Enhart said, I've realized that we as people think we are far more advanced than we are. Our individual ego is programmed by default to think like this. Yeah. I think that's true. Like, I think, we are pretty advanced, and it's going at a pace that, okay, let's put it this way. In a current lifetime, like take your grandpa's lifetime. Well, I don't know how old everyone is, but take like an 80-year-old. In their lifetime, they've gone from seeing man leave this planet and walk on another celestial body for the first time ever to having, a private company planning and developing stuff to go to Mars, and so like that's a lot of leap of technology. Or well, let's not even do that, because maybe that's space. They went from seeing the invention of a phone in your house that's still a landline, but it doesn't have a wire, it just comes off it. I'm talking the 80s, okay? Right? When those came out, maybe 70s. I don't know. I think the 80s, because we didn't have one until I was older. Anyway, just that technology of like, I can talk, there's no wire, and it's going through the phone and whatever. Gone from that to fucking like, I can launch nuclear codes from this thing in my pocket. That's a huge jump in technology. If that pace is to continue, and say Vinny was right about we're going to destroy the planet and die. Say we only have 100 years left, but you keep that exponential pace of technology going, even at the end of that 100 years, at the end of humanity, we're so far ahead that like right now we shouldn't feel like we're advanced. We're very advanced. The things we can do, the interconnectedness globally that there is now is amazing. It's advanced as fuck compared to the turn of the last century or 20 years into the last century. But to where it's going and where it inevitably will go, no, we're not that advanced at all. And so that's like a humbleness that that we should have. And I would agree that humbleness is not default. That's a program that you have to hack in to your programming. Yeah, that's an upgrade feature that, it takes some work and it's hard to do, and you can't just download it from the app store. Like it's like a fucking, you got to find out how to do some back end code to get that in there. But once you do it, it's fucking terrific. I love, and I probably don't sound very humble. I feel like this live stream has had a lot of bragging, and I don't mean to, but humbleness towards our place in reality, I think is very, very important. And I think that's what's helped get me through like this crazy time that we're in. I'm humble enough to be like, I'm so insignificant in the grand scheme of reality and of the universe, but I'm alive now. I'm getting to experience this now, and that's amazing. And I'm grateful for that, good and bad. It would be terrible to live and die in a completely boring, uneventful slice of time. I feel like. Oh shit. Ketamine is a huge help. Yeah. And Hart said, I'm lucky to be part of whatever this beautiful simulation is. Yes, my friend, I'm glad I said what I said right before that, because that's gratitude. That's living in gratitude. That's living in abundance. Be thankful you're here. Be thankful you're breathing. Be thankful you wake up every morning. From waking up this morning to waking up tomorrow morning, that's all that matters. Everything that happens in between happens in that time. And if you let it, or if you will it, it will stay in that time. Maybe not physically, but its mental impact on your perception of reality. Every morning you can start with a new perspective, and that becomes your reality. Perspective and reality are the same thing. We ought to unionize against large corporations, though. 70% of climate change is caused by 120 companies. We shouldn't have to destroy the planet just to realize we need to change. Yeah, so you're really hung up on the planet stuff. I mean, what do you do about it other than commenting on stuff and social media? Like, do you volunteer or work in the environmental industry? Um, you know, you gotta like that's what you gotta check. Like unionize against large corporations. Like I don't understand what that means. If you could expand on that. I see a lot of anti-corporation talk. So like I don't think that's an issue, but like everybody buys shit, you know. There's a name brand. I'm like, I can't, you can't look anywhere without there being a name brand that's run by a corporation. And so it's like, okay, uh, maybe that's a good part to get into crypto, but it's like if you want to undercut the corporations, I suggest really taking the orange pill and you know, uh opting out of the financial system, which in turn gives you this urge to save instead of spend, and can make you more or less materialistic, which I think goes away a long way for hurting corporations. Um, and 70% of climate change is caused by 120 companies. I mean, everything we do impacts that. You know, I think most people wouldn't drive if or would drive a car that didn't pollute if they could, but most people can't. And most people can't walk or bike to work or whatever. And so it's like, I guess that's the corporations, but how do you stop them? Because everyone's going to keep doing it. So unless everyone was like, I'm not going to fucking drive anymore, um, like how do you end that pollution? The pollution from companies, so a big way that is handled is by offsetting it. Okay, if you can't stop pollution, you can offset it. And there's like I've done that work of taking utilizing clean air or clean water funds, which is paid for by corporations that like they pollute, but then they have to pay money to go into upgrading the rest of the watershed of what they're impacting. And there's a very few people and very few dollars, unfortunately, that go into that. So that's an area where if people volunteer their time, they could make up for that lack of funding and really do something towards water and air pollution, offsetting the damage done there. Because the corporations aren't just going to stop. If the same amount of people that just stormed the Capitol stormed the power plant in their or whatever, I don't know who you're envisioning is doing all this polluting, but they just showed up there or whatever. It's probably actually harder to get into a power plant as a bunch of rioters than than the Capitol. I mean, I know, like I currently, I'm a forestry consultant for power companies. And if there's ever something where like I have to start a line or whatever, and I have to get into the power plant, like it's a whole thing. Like they have super tight security. So I don't know what you envision to stop. But that would be my challenge is like, what are you personally doing? Besides, posting about it. Plastic straws and consumerism is not going to save the world. I agree. Like it's not. And you start to see that like metal straws or whatever, but it's like, it's bigger than that. It's on a spiritual, like physical level or spiritual, like metaphysical level that people need to change. And then everything changes with it. It all begins with the perspective, and then once you have that perspective, like the easiest sphere of influence to change is your own, and then the network effect just grows from there. That's Metcalf's law or whatever. Too legit to quit, said people crave distractions. I know. Well, I don't even know if we crave them, because I really relish in the times where I don't have a distraction. It's that they're addictive. It's the most addictive drug there is distraction. So yeah. AR, we just need to colonize the galaxy. I think the galaxy's already been colonized. We just got to catch up with them. I feel as far as the alien thing goes, like I feel we're just in some like, backwater uh neighborhood of the galaxy, and it's like as you get towards the middle where those stars are really close together and the physics is really weird and and stuff like that. I think there's a whole party going on that we haven't realized is going on yet. Enhart said, in religious and occult concepts, an apocalypse usually discloses something very important that was hidden or provides a vision of heavenly secrets that can make sense of earthly realities. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I was describing. um, AR, I love the description of them. Regardless, improvement of the situation as a whole. Well, I'm pretty behind here, so I don't know what description you were talking about, but K-Daz says, hey guys, I'd love to see Ruben stream. Thanks, dude. You believe in that? LOL. I don't know what you're talking about. You could type that again. What you were questioning. I believe in a shucks full. You Exotica said, or am I familiar with germ theory versus terrain theory? Germ theory believes that disease is caused by germs and can affect anyone. Another theory believes that germs cannot cause infection and disease unless the conditions within the body allow it. Well, I guess that's like speaking towards immune system, and having a healthy immune system helps your how you handle disease. I think we're seeing that with coronavirus, but yeah, I guess I don't know the specifics of those two theories, but I guess so. The problem is there's people that are like, I don't believe in germ theory, and like I've seen, and a lot of them are like flat earthers too, and believe that 5G is what's killing us and stuff like that. And that's fine. I understand. I don't mean to talk down on those things. If you really believe that, that's cool. But germ theory, like they deny germ theory, like there isn't germs. I forgot what they called them. There's a lot of people that believe that germs are exosomes, and they are produced by your body when you are experiencing disease, and it's not the other way around. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I don't believe in that. But again, I've had a lot of biological programming from going to college and learning about genetics and microbes, and spent a lot of time in labs with microscopes and all that stuff. I think germs are real, and I think they hurt us. I think they're they're just little animals. I think we look at them wrong, and we denigrate them by saying, oh, they're single cell or whatever. I think it's just we're that big, and like they're that small, and it's hard for us to tell what they're doing and how they're doing it, and we have to like play this whole detective game. But I also think if the universe is fractals, that like we're germs to some other thing too. The planet could be a cell that we're like a bunch of bacteria that we're destroying it. Like that's totally a legit idea of like what our place in the universe is. I think Joe Rogan said that, like, how bacteria will like eat a sandwich and make it all black and stuff, and if you fly over LA it looks like that. He's like, I think we're supposed to fucking eat the sandwich. He he's kind of right there. So I don't know. I forgot what I was talking. I don't know if that explains me hearing what germ theory and terrain theory are, but that's what that made me think about. Zanana Panana says, I love hearing your thoughts. You have such profound, unique insights and ideas. Well, thank you. Honestly, I think we all have these thoughts and ideas. It's just we remember them at different times. And I'm just fortunate enough to be in some sort of flow state for the past couple of years, to where I'm remembering all this stuff. That's kind of how I look at it. Maybe that's weird, but zealots are possessed by transpersonal archetypal dynamisms deriving from the collective unconscious. Their goal is a collective, not a personal one. Man, that's a lot of $100 words you just used there. But I guess so. If a zealot has a collective goal, it's not a personal one, but it's a confined collective goal. Is that what you're getting at? Because I guess I'd agree with that. Virtual reality helmet is the perfect analogy and description for earthy lifetimes of eternal beings. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not saying there's physically a helmet that is going on, but it's I don't know. One of the biggest questions, like one of the biggest questions people have, and what leads people to most religion, is what happens? What happened when Grandpa died? What happened? What am I gonna see him again? Am I gonna see any of you again? Right? That's a huge the question of life. For some reason, the bigger question for me, like almost my whole life, like I definitely did worry and think about death early on, and was kind of religious because of it. The psychedelics really helped me, like, kind of not fear death anymore, and they made me start thinking, why don't I remember before this? Like, where does consciousness just happen? Because we're all living, hoping that our consciousness goes on, but if we don't remember before, what's saying that we're gonna even be aware of the after, or what? And so, like, psychedelics had me look back, right? And that's where I started. I never respected history as much as when I became a psychonaut, and especially reading The Food of the Gods by Terence McKenna, and how it's all based in history and how we got to this point. Like that, I really started liking that perspective. And so that's where the virtual reality helmet analogy, like, kind of makes sense. Like, we were doing something before this, and then we zapped into this to have this experience. And when it's done, we're going back to whatever it was before that. So, so I think you guys were all commenting on the germ thing I was ranting about. I'm a die flying, same type of thing, temporarily joining another world as a different being. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's, different dimensions and stuff like that. That's how we travel different dimensions, is our consciousness. And when we get to a new dimension, it's so fucking weird that it takes us a minute, it takes us a minute to realize what the fuck's going on. Flow was a real thing. I think you're getting clear downloads as your awakening continues. Yeah, I really feel that. I think that's a reason 2020 was, like, really good for me in pretty much every aspect. Was that it's just, I don't know, the enlightenment, the peace, it's just getting clearer for me, and it's because I'm working on a lot of different things, and I could definitely do better. From a physical health standpoint, I could definitely do better. I could fucking stop drinking. I could do a lot of things. I think like true enlightenment is a balance of, like, the physical, spiritual world, and I don't think I think I have that balance too much towards the spiritual, and I don't think I focus enough on the temple, the vehicle of that spirituality. So I'm trying to work on that. I don't know if you guys are Discord people. I'm bad with screen names, but I recently got a infrared sauna, and I've been incorporating that into my daily routine of health. And oddly enough, it's making me drink less. I'm drinking tonight, just because I like doing that when I'm ranting about stuff, but I'm hoping to get I want to do some sort of like extreme diet, not extreme, but like focusing on certain things. The diet I'm thinking of doing is like a hunter-gatherer type of diet where I like kind of eat really good local grass-fed meat, humane meat, in large quantities, only a couple times a week, and then focus the rest of my diet on fruits and berries and nuts and stuff like that. Maybe a little leafy greens here and there, maybe some roots here and there, turmeric, onion, garlic, stuff like that. But that's kind of I don't know why I'm talking about that. I forgot. But it works into what I originally said at the start. I wanted to talk about where I'm going in 2021 and where people should go. I think that's something people should be working towards. Just saying, yeah, I feel the message, of what I'm supposed to be doing clearer. I've been wanting to start a nonprofit organization as a way to really put my crypto to work, to not just help me, but to help other people. And I had a bunch of different ideas, but like my idea, which I don't know how long all you guys have been following my channel, but going back, I think when I started the Patreon, I talked about it. I can't remember, but I said, I want to start a camp, like a nature education, psychedelic retreat. And I've kind of expanded that vision to not just focus on psychedelics. Like, we will have psychedelic retreats there, but because you couldn't go anywhere this in 2020, I just spent so much time going up to my land in New York and just getting away from it all and just being really grounded in nature and solitude, I guess. And I just had like a really clear epiphany, like smoking a joint, watching the sun go down on a beautiful night, on top of a hill, and not being able to see anything but forest, and just going, everybody fucking needs this, especially now, but almost nobody can afford it. So like my nonprofit I want to set up, that's going to be our goal, is to like have a retreat, unplugged kind of, week-long thing, and to have like fellowships or scholarships or whatever you want to call them, where people apply and we pick a family that needs to fucking get the fuck away, for a week. They don't need psychedelics or anything like that. That kind of experience is psychedelic. So that's kind of my goal. I'm going to at least start the paperwork for that this year. I mean, that's a longer term goal. But like I have that clear vision, and like I just have to make sure I fucking X out of the pop-ups, but to just make that keep going. I don't know how I got on that either, but more forward thinking 2021 stuff. That's where I'm going. And I really see that message where before I was like, I lacked clarity and focus. It was just like, I'm going to start a 501c3, like in like 2018 or so is when I started thinking like, I want to start a nonprofit, to give back. And like, my idea was like to build a hockey rink and have like a free, hockey school for like people in areas that don't have hockey. That's just a dumb idea. Maybe not terrible, but like I can't even imagine how fucking much it costs to build a hockey rink, let alone that's like the first hurdle. But then it's like, it's a really specific thing that really doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, I've just really had all these different ideas, and I had the idea for the retreat, but I was really focused on the psychedelics, and like I think that's just a component of all of the people that I think I can serve and help. So yeah. You gotta be like, it's not just a fucking crazy weed dream. Like, my family's on board. Like, that's the direction we're going. I have another, like, the son of my parents' friends, volunteers and like is like a counselor and stuff like that at like a camp that is a nonprofit that does the same thing, kind of for like summer long thing for inner city kids and stuff like that. So like he's already interested. It's once I focused on that and started that, like making that a reality and manifesting that, it's like all these things just fucking popped into place. So that's where I'm going this year. I don't know how that helps climate change, but it doesn't hurt it. Because that's one of the goals too. And what I would use funding for it to do is make it off the grid, like wind turbines and solar panels, and it's already fed from like a natural spring, and it has a septic tank, and want it to be off the grid, carbon neutral, greenhouses, grow our own food, that kind of thing. I mean, I already have a lot of the infrastructure for it. It's more upgrading. I'm going to build a yurt and fire pits and all sorts of stuff. Sorry, got catch up. Psychedelics blow away the smoke and fog of reality. Yeah, I agree. But the fog comes back, but you can see through it better. That's kind of how I look at it. That's like the integration, right? People always ask, like, what is integration? And that's what I like to think is it's learning how to see through the fog, as you put it. It's so hard to explain without sounding crazy. No, I mean, I get it. I'm a die flying said, I think 2020 opened a lot of people up to this stuff, honestly. Absolutely. And again, like I was saying about my first, mission statement video of this channel, like that's kind of what I said is like, some people are going to be fucking thrown for a loop, and it's the psychedelic community, and not even psychedelic drugs, just like the fucking enlightened ones, the ones that get it, the ones that are living in the now, that we can catch those people, and be like, no, okay, I know that sucked, but this is why it sucked, and this is how you can enjoy the not suck. And accept that there will always be suck. I'm a die flying. I hope so. It would make me more optimistic about the future. Number one, act of self-love, take care of your one and only precious body. Yeah, I agree. It's like I'm loving life so much right now, and I have so much I'm going towards and stuff, where I've definitely had like moments where I'm like nihilistic, and that's where I've eaten the worst and smoked cigarettes and not been active and played video games all day and stuff like that. Just where I didn't have anything to live for. So like, and so like this year I've just really been, like going for it and building visions and dreams and stuff like that. And my father-in-law, who's a big part of our life, like out of all my kids' grandparents, like he's like takes the most interest and goes to basketball games and, comes down to visit every weekend and takes the kids places, stuff like that. I mean, a big deal. Had a heart attack, and like he's a doctor, his wife's a doctor, and luckily she was home. She wasn't gonna be, like, her sister texted her to come get a drink after work, and she didn't get it till she got home and was in her pajamas, and then was like, I'm not gonna go back out. And she was home and did CPR on him until the paramedics came, and they had to shock him a bunch of times, and then he came back to life. And he looks like he's gonna be all right. Like, he had stents put in and stuff like that, but it was easily like that. Like, that text could have come, or she could have looked at it while she was in her car or whatever, and like he'd be gone. And it really was kind of like a wake up call to me. Like, he's still got a lot to live. He's not even retired yet, and is working towards retiring and like living that life. And that almost got taken away from him. That almost got taken away from all his loved ones, just like that, And it made me really think about not death. Like, I don't fear death. It's just like I don't want to die right now. Like, this is just fucking starting to get good, And so that's been a big thing for me. Trying to think. I don't have like a New Year's resolution or anything like that, but because I hate that just sets up expectations that can lead to failure and can make it worse, can dig you deeper in a hole. So yeah, that was a really scary thing that happened to us that made me and my wife really rethink our health and stuff like that. And that's one reason I bought the sauna. And I'm already really active, like with my job and stuff. Like I hike in the woods like every day, 10 miles or so. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. If any of you are on the Discord and see the pictures of my work sites and stuff that I set up, I mean, it's insane that a guy my age is still doing shit like that. But still, diet wise is pretty shitty, and I've been trying to curb that. Well, it's like it goes in spurts. I'll like start out a week like eating really good, and then by the end of the week I'm so beat down, and I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking eat chicken nuggets out of the air fryer or whatever, So yeah, it's definitely like that, and like you said, act of self-love. It is. You have to love yourself. You have to love being alive, and that's the first thing to any sort of diet or exercise change that you're trying to implement. Is like you can't be doing it because you're ashamed of yourself. You have to be doing it because you love yourself. And that's a big reason I don't set any New Year's resolutions, especially around health. It's just like you're doing it because you're like, I don't want to be this anymore, but it's like you have to look at it from the other way. Like, I really like this part, and I think it'd be better if I did that. So I'm going to do that so that I love everything and it's even better. As your body, temple, and brain continue to clear of alcohol and the numbing poisons they call food, you're going to have to blow your mind realization. Let them come and share. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not a drunk. I like just like alcohol. Like, this is the one drink I'm going to have tonight, and I didn't drink last night, and I probably won't drink tomorrow night. Like that kind of thing. I'm not one of those people. It's like it has some residual effect where it poisons you and you have to clear it out and stuff like that. Again, because like I truly believe, and obviously there is residual chemicals that stay in your body or whatever, but the main influence they have over your holistic health is in that moment. And like I said, like, you have to watch my video about addiction, because I'm probably not going to get my actual feelings right here, where I'm proud of what I said about addiction in that video. Because there's physical addiction. I think if you're an addict of any kind, alcohol, heroin, whatever, every morning you can wake up and start the path towards getting ridding yourself of that. Now there's obviously residual things and withdrawals and stuff like that come with substances. I'm not undermining how important those are, but it starts with the morning you wake up and say, I'm not going to fucking be an alcoholic anymore. I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore. That's where you get rid of most of the poison that holds you back. That's the biggest change in anything. And you can do that every morning that you wake up, or every night you go to bed. An addict is not as important as the first night you wake up not an addict, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that would be like you never do it again, or you don't have a month of rehab in front of you or whatever, but it's like that morning that you tell yourself the story that I'm not going to be an addict anymore. That's the biggest change with alcohol. If people are alcoholics, But I don't think it has like some build-up effect. I mean, it does. Don't get me wrong. I know biologically it does, and that's what I'm saying about withdrawals and stuff like that. Um, but I think I can moderately drink, and it's actually more beneficial to my mind realizations instead of hindering them. But I guess let me do like a sober October kind of thing. Um, uh, then um, where I haven't drank in like a month, and then maybe I'll think a little differently because I can't think of the last month I went without drinking, but I can think of months where I maybe had 2 drinks in the whole month. Yeah, I don't know. Moving past alcohol, I don't know why I got hung up on that. Probably because I have a drink in my hand. Um, Damn, yes, that's what integration is, seeing through the smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Total wake up call. Some people need to see death to wake up. Yeah. Yeah. Once I smoke in the morning, it's over. I'm smoking the rest of the day. Addiction is more the mind, in my opinion. It is. But the body can make it worse, and that can add to the mind, you know. And I think like part of human existence is trauma, right? Everybody has trauma. Some people have more trauma. Like some people have seen their family killed in front of them. That's pretty traumatic. But there's other trauma of like, you know, I scored a goal. I scored my first goal in soccer, and when I looked, my dad was on his phone and didn't even see it, or something like that. Like that's trauma too, and that can stick with people. And that comes out in a whole bunch of different ways. And in some people that have had other trauma happen in other ways and have had other things happen, and it builds up this part of their ego and their programming that leads to being an addict of some sort. And there's some drugs that activate certain chemicals that appeal to people with certain trauma. So I think that's a big part of, you know, like we were talking about the apocalypse and the unveiling, um, is that as people shift their consciousness, raise their consciousness, however you want to look at it, they have layers of their programming that get, you know, rewritten or erased. And I think one that's, you know, integral to raising your consciousness and growing is shedding that layer of trauma. And however thick it may be, whatever it is that comprised it, it's the same goal for people, and it has the same start. And that start is waking up and saying, this trauma is not part of my being anymore. And I don't care if that is sexual assault trauma, if that is child and abandonment issues, or a lost love, or a betrayal of a friend, whatever that is that you hang on to and identify yourself as. The day you wake up and say, I don't identify as this anymore, is the day you start working towards it not being what identifies you. You know, if you're a sexual assault victim and, you know, one of the first things you do when you wake up in the morning is go to Twitter and scroll through, and most of the people you follow, because it's the reality tunnel you've chosen, are sexual assault victim support people, or talking about that. And you're already in that fucking mindset. You're already rolling down that hill. So for that day, you're a sexual assault victim. And every day you do that, if you were raped or whatever, every day you do that and you identify yourself as that and start rolling down that hill, spiritually, that dude fucking rapes you again every fucking day, you know? And so it's not just addiction. It's also like our, uh, our rabbit holes that we try to hide in for comfort and for bonding and all the, you know, validation of our feelings and stuff like that. We need all this external shit because it lessens the like gravity of the trauma on our spirit. And you know, the day you wake up and start shedding that trauma layer, the less of that like validation you need, and the more confidence in yourself you'll have. And you know, I don't think there's very many like confident drug addicts. Like, I mean, everybody kind of feels they're a piece of shit and is like, fuck it, whatever. I still like this drug. Um, or there's people who are just lying to themselves. And if you're lying to yourself, you're not confident. Um, and I fear that a lot, that like what I perceive in myself as consciousness, is that actually, or what I perceive in myself as confidence, is that actually just me lying? And I really don't know what's going on. I struggle with that, but I feel pretty strongly that if I'm seeing that well enough to construct that idea of how other people should view the situation, that like I believe that myself. So it's either true or I'm lying to everybody. I don't know. Mind over matter is very real. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm talking about, of expanding that towards uh, your trauma is an influence on your mind, but it isn't your mind. And your trauma can always be a part of you. It's always a lesson you could learn. It's always a connection you can have with other people. Like we can help each other in moments of weakness through our common bond of trauma. But we don't need to let it weigh us down. Our fucking spirit can't ascend if we got this fucking weight of trauma on us. And I'm hoping that like 2020 and 2021 are so bad and so traumatizing that it actually like just fucking blows the trauma layers off of most people, and you just start getting these fucking spirits popping up to where the rest of us are. And I'm not saying that's physically how I picture all of this shit works. It's just I use visual analogies. Organic foods, plants will cleanse and feed your brain too. You'll feel smarter and you will be. Yeah, I mean, I definitely try to eat organic as I can, but that's part of like the moments of weakness where like it's easier to just grab a bag of Doritos or whatever. But if I plan shit out and eat with intention, usually everything's organic. I definitely agree with that. And like I said, dude, my meat, like other than when I like eat out, or have a moment of weakness in a fast food drive through or whatever, the meat I buy and the meat I cook for my family is like from a farm 15 miles away, and there's only 100 people that buy from the farm total. Well, no, they have 100 packages, so like there could be 50 people. I only get one a month, but still, there's no more than 100 people that buy from this farm. And if you'd like to watch my video, follow the food, I think I laid out like a situation, put that pre-pandemic of well, no, actually, it might have been like right after the pandemic, but regardless, about the food situation, like leading up to this, and now how this is going to affect and supply chains and local farms and stuff like that. And I'm very tuned into like food, but again, I get distracted, and when the distractions come in, the ease of acquiring the food is what becomes important. But if I had time and focus, I very much believe in organic and local farming. Oh, you didn't think I was a big drinker? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I was just ranting on stuff. Not drinking is just being mindful for non-alcoholics. Yeah, yeah. BC Jesus Entertainment Inc. just joined in. Will you fill me in on what you've talked about so far? No, I can't. I've been on a roll here. I definitely recommend watching it after it posts. Sorry, but I meant to kind of talk politics most of the time. I thought I would. And we've been on a big, like, I started on simulation theory. And there was someone in here that hasn't commented in a while. Maybe they dropped out. They were talking about environmentalism. And so I was talking about that. I mean, I could scroll through germ theory, simulation theory, literacy and the decentralization of like human thought and losing control, or the powers that be losing control because of people learning how to read. Artificial intelligence, space, technology, organic food, trauma, addiction, alcoholism. Yeah, just kind of the huge. Betrayal. Amadai Flying said, "Betrayal of society is what woke me up, I think, and feel delusioned with college and all that shit. No one really wants to do, but do because that's just how the system works." Yeah, so the system and money in general, but both play by the same rules, is a game. Okay. And you win the game by understanding you're playing the game. And then you start to play with it. If you don't realize you're playing the game, you're getting beaten by the other 50%. And it's a 50-50 split. It could even be an 80-20 split. I'll even say, yeah, the 80-20 rule, which is a psychological observation, could be in play there. But either way, if you don't know you're playing the game, you lose. Now, in the terms of money, that you could be rich. In the terms of like the system and control and stuff like that, you could be powerful. You could be a politician. You could be the fucking president. But if you don't know that it's a fucking game, you're losing because everyone else is gaming you. They're winning. Now, there's poor people that are winning, and there's rich people that are winning. There's people on a island that civilization has never discovered that are winning, and there's politicians that are winning. It comes down to like your spiritual like perspective of what the game is, and understanding it's a game and playing with it and working the game to your liking. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that. So yeah, the betrayal of the society, that's what it should be. People put like blind faith in society. And if anything, the last year has shown like, you can't rely on society. They'll fucking take all the toilet paper, dude. So, but as far as feeling disillusioned with college, I mean, it depends. College can be an opportunity, or it can be a big fucking waste of money that puts shackles on you for the rest of your life and you're stuck in the system because you're in debt to the system. Or it can be where you find yourself. It can be where you discover your path. It can be where you find your love. It can be where you learn hard lessons. It can be a big opportunity. It's an important stage in life within the system, within the game. And if you're on this fucking channel, if I don't know if you mean you're in college or whatever, but if you're in college and you're watching this channel, like, not to toot my own horn, but like you're figuring out how the fucking game works, and you're going to come out of college and be able to fucking play that game and make it badass. I wish I would have found this channel when I was in college. But don't just make the best of it. Don't just be there because you're supposed to be there. Then you're following, that's just what the system does. You just go to college. I don't care if you don't know what you want to do. You just go to college. How many kids get told that? And that's not the case. But the anti-college movement in like the zeitgeist of America, at least, I think is pretty shitty. The like anti-intellectualism that I see pretty rampant. That sucks, because that's where the future lies. The future lies in the intellectuals. So we can be mad, we can be mad at the college cost and the debt structure around it, and that you can't get out from it. It's the only debt you can't fucking write off or, go bankrupt from, whatever. You can be mad at that whole thing, but higher education, at least in like occupational certification and stuff like that, like bettering yourself is always a good move. And college has that opportunity, but that opportunity is not utilized by most of the people going to college. I will agree there with people that are anti-college. Trauma and addiction, dude, you're hitting all the truth. We all have to deal with our traumas. We don't have to be our traumas. So true. Heal, learn, let it go. Yep. Meditate. Meditation has taught me that so much. Meditation's taught me that more than psychedelics almost. Because I think, honestly, my first video or second video on this channel where I talked about, a heroic dose trip, I was traumatized by that trip itself for a while, And it wasn't until that led me to like meditation and trying to improve. I had the setting kind of messed up, but my set was definitely messed up during that experience. And I've worked on the set more than the setting. And that takes a lot more time, but meditation was the way to do that. And I really understood trauma a lot better through meditation. Unfortunately, I broadcast that onto other people's situation too much. So if anyone takes offense by anything I said about trauma, I'm not being insensitive, but try what I said. If I'm wrong, write me an email and said, hey, I tried to meditate. I tried to wake up every day and say I'm not a victim of or an addict, and it didn't work. Then let me know that. But try it, Like I thought it was stupid. I fully understand and live in gratitude at all times now. But I did that by starting every day, writing in a journal what I'm thankful for, writing it on the Discord gratitude wall, and doing that and feeling stupid every time, being like, what am I grateful for? But it's like after you get that and you feel that energy, you learn how to live in that energy all the time. And it sounds stupid. Depressed, anxious people would be like, that's fucking stupid. I'm not gonna fucking journal and stop being depressed. It's fucking dumb. That's gonna be it. All these meds I'm taking, it's fucking journaling and meditation is gonna fix it. Like, I understand having that feeling towards it. Just try it. Try it and tell me I'm wrong. Honestly, try it and tell me I'm wrong. That's our life journey to conquer our trauma and find our purpose and passions in doing so. You're doing everything right and on your own time. I'm cheering you on. Well, thanks, man. I'm cheering you on. Well, if you're a dude. I'm a die flying. Yeah, exactly. I'm planning to self-sustain on a farm after college. Nice. Xana Panana, the creation and demise of humanity, our power. I'm a dime flying. You're right. I'm trying. I can definitely say I've made good friends, and I take the major I want, which is philosophy. Awesome. In theory, college is great. Definitely. I do think academic elitism is pretty bad, and the emphasis on grades and factoids. I think the Greeks and Socratic method was a way better method of teaching. Yeah, no, I agree. There's nothing wrong with always learning, but making it a business and sucking off, like, honestly, the government being involved, I used to think was a great idea. Now I think it's a terrible idea because it made universities think they need more money than they do, and try to suck up more money than they do, and they take it all from the government, and the credit score of the people graduating is what suffers from it, and the extra cash that they make from whatever profession they go into suffers because they have to pay that debt off, and they're basically enslaved. So that sucks. But learning and higher education, the philosophy you learn, even if you're not a philosophy major, college should be filled with a lot of philosophy. If not in the classes, in the experiences with the people you meet. Nolan said, hello, hope you're doing well. I am. I hope you are as well. Thank you for popping in. How can you join the Discord? Let me pop a invite link. Sorry. I am not the best at computers. I think. Oh, no. Sorry. You can call me a boomer if you want. There you go. There's an invite. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of lurkers, but there's a lot of people that, I mean, we talk on it all day long. It's my main social media. I love everyone on there. Mainly talk crypto. That's the most active channel. But that's awesome. There's a lot of good info on there. But we talk other things. I get I can get on rants. Like I actually already talked about the trauma thing a little bit, but I did it after, like, I posted a video about, or like Mike Tyson was on Logan Paul's podcast and he ate a bunch of mushrooms right at the start. And they get into some, I don't really know who Logan Paul is, but what I see of him, I don't like him, or, wouldn't think he'd have a podcast talk about psychedelics and stuff. But I'm intrigued by the Mike Tyson story. And someone, kind of said that it was, they didn't like that the culture forgave him for, being a rapist or whatever. And so my whole thing was about trauma and stuff like that. So I go on rants and post really long things on there. And so that can be kind of annoying for people, maybe, but maybe some people like it. But anyway, the Discord's cool. You should definitely join if you're not already in there. If you're sick of fucking Twitter and Facebook and whatever nonsense, I'm not saying I don't look at Twitter, but it's just for crypto stuff, and a little bit of news here and there. But yeah, my main source of information outside of like group text things with my friends and stuff like that is the Discord. So I love our little community there. What do I journal about? Well, I kind of stopped for a while, but that's something I want to pick up in the new year. I just try to do. I start every journal with the day. Like I look up when I start on a journaling spurt, I look up the day that I've been alive, like how many days it's been, and I put day, 13,000 whatever, and I'd say like how I felt when I woke up, like if I felt good, if something hurt, if I'm gonna like take a painkiller or cold medicine or kratom or cannabis pill or something to alter my perception of that day. I write that in there just for when I look back, a frame of reference, like when I was high, or whatever. I write monthly, weekly, and daily goals. And then I write those every day. And if I completed something, I say that the next day that I completed that. And then like something I'm grateful for. Like, but I would say that at the start. I'd say like it's a great day to be alive. I'm grateful I woke up this morning. Like that's enough. If I don't have anything else to say, that's fine. It's enough to be grateful you woke up in the morning. And so I do that. You've never shrooned, but you've ayahuasca'd. I've yet to ayahuasca, but I will at some point. Yeah, I'm a Defiant. I think everyone is a philosopher. Life makes it so. I mean, you should be. Like, I believe, right? The root of the word philosophia or whatever is the quest for knowledge. Why the fuck wouldn't anybody be on a quest for knowledge? If you can be on a quest for anything in this life, why wouldn't it be knowledge? I mean, that's why a PhD is a doctorate of philosophy. Like, even no matter what it is, like, you're a doctorate of philosophy. It's like it's about knowledge. You've gained a lot of knowledge in whatever field that may be, but it's a doctorate of philosophy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm all about knowledge and wisdom. Oh, well, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'll go up to 2 hours, and then I got to get going. But two questions on crypto. Do you think BTC will be good for humanity? 100%. I don't have time to go into that. That's probably a whole another 2 hours. But I absolutely do. Um, and not even just the people that get in on it. It will have a net positive effect in the way that it changes global macroeconomics and banking and credit and energy consumption. It will change all of those things for the better. I 100% believe that. And I will debate anybody on that. uh, also, do you think governments, institutions would try to stop it if it got too big? That's been the fear all along. And I mean, please pay attention to the headlines, because government is going to make it hard to be private. They're going to want their cut of the taxes, but they can't stop it. And they know, and so they won't stop it. All that's happening is regulation to make it so that you pay your taxes on it. Okay. Stopping it, they're in on it. Fucking governments are mining it. Like, they may have created it. Satoshi could be the army. I don't know. Governments are not banning it. They want to get in on it. They want to keep you out of it. And they want everyone else to pay their taxes on it. But they can't stop it. And if they were trying to, my money's on the fucking developers. Technology, look at the fucking government. The government is such a joke. They're so far behind on how they react to everything. Do you really expect that they will be ahead of the curve when it comes to revolutionary, new emerging asset class that's actually like a new utility and a new layer to the internet and can change literally everything in the world going forward? My money is not on the government winning that battle. They'll make it tough. They ain't going to make it cheap, but they are not going to win. Gratitude is the answer. Sounds too simple, but it's true. Appreciation is the key to happiness. Yeah. We're really vibing tonight, aren't we, Zanana Panana? Switching gears, if you listen to the band Viagra Boys, highly recommend Sports and Research Chemicals. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thanks for the recommendation. Journaling is a great idea. You've been doing it since you were 15, says Total Rod. Nice. You were 15 in 1989? I for some reason I picture everybody I'm talking to be like teenagers and high or college kids and stuff like that. I like when, like, someone older and wiser than me spends the time on a fucking almost midnight on a Sunday listening to me rant about reality and simulation theory. Do the different strains of shrooms make the experience significantly different, or is it not very noticeable? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. If you do it right, it doesn't matter. But I mean, people pick it apart, and yeah, the only thing is, universally it's accepted that albino penis envy, which the zoology is that it's still a the same species of Cubensis stropharia or Stropharia cubensis. I mean, it it's just more potent. It's like it is another strain that creates more or whatever. But most people say everything else, a cube is a cube is a cube. Disgusting government every time. Yeah. Did somebody say Monero? Yeah, privacy coins. I honestly look into Mimblewimble. It's like a privacy chain that Bitcoin and Litecoin can use. I think it's going to be more of that. There's going to be back alleys and avenues around for privacy. Anything that markets itself as a privacy coin is putting a target on their back. So I definitely, uh, it's going to be hard to get Monero. It's going to be a dark web, decentralized exchange type of thing. I feel like it's not going to be listed on exchanges much longer. Sportcaster said, in my experience, different mushroom strains feel completely different. I mean, I've had that experience. Like my buddy grew this one strain, and I had like 3 or 4 bad trips in a row on that strain. And I became convinced that that mushroom had like these spirits that were stuck in it that didn't like me or didn't like my ancestors and like was fucking with me and all this stuff. And I was like, I'll never, it was Treasure Coast. And I was like, I'll never fucking do Treasure Coast again, you know? And then like I've had another one after that and stopped having bad trips, but I also worked on myself, read some different books, and like it's all subjective, and the power of suggestion is very strong with that. Like if you did a blind taste test of mushrooms and had were somehow able to have the exact same set and setting, like if you did like a Johns Hopkins type thing with the same playlist, same room, same people in there, lying in bed with eye shades, that's the only way if you could be like, yeah, this one produced this type of effect. And like nobody's doing that. Maybe they will in the future. But for most people, you know, it's gonna there's so many factors that go into your psychedelic experience that it's really impossible to get down to the nitty gritty of strains. You know, it comes down to potency and how you and preparation and growing conditions and stuff like that of like dosage and stuff like that. But the actual experience, that I think that is more influenced by the whole set and setting than it is the strain. Um, but I feel that same way about cannabis. Like, um, my buddy was like really into like sativa and indica and like the hybrid and the percentage and stuff like that. But like when we smoked, it would be the same thing every time because we were sitting on his couch, you know. And but like you could take that same weed and we went like hiking and it was like a sativa type experience because we got up and were moving and stuff like that, you know. And so I'm again, I like the like branding of different cannabis strains and stuff like that. I like hearing the different names and reading about the genetics and stuff like that and all the, you know, botanical nerdiness. But when it comes down to it, I don't think THC or psilocybin, once it gets in your body and does what it's going to do, I don't think it cares what, you know, what generation of what plant it came from. But I don't know. Like I said, I think the research is still out on that. um Santa Banana. Well, you're making me laugh so much because you're making so much sense. Yeah. I make myself laugh because I make sense. I'm sometimes I'm my biggest fan and my biggest critic at the same time sometimes. But I'm like, man, I often tell myself, like, you make so much sense. How come these motherfuckers don't understand? But no one said I'm very wise. Well, thank you. I mean, I see things clearly, but I know I don't know as much as you can as a person, you know, and like I always I approach everything like I have something to learn from everybody. And I'm open to anybody's frame of thinking. Like that one person in here earlier that may have left or whatever, I didn't mean to disregard what they were saying about climate change. That is a very real situation. It does bother me. That's why I've basically focused my whole career on doing what I can do to help that situation. I'm very open to other things. There's not a lot of things I'm like completely disagree with. And if I disagree, it's like to some extent, and then I try to add on people's like thoughts or whatever. So I don't think I'm as much wise as I am just open-minded. And I think being open-minded can come across as wise. But I've read a lot. I've had a lot of education. I've done a lot of different things in life. I was as good as I might be doing now. And I mean, I'm not saying like financially and stuff like that, but just as a person, like 20 years ago, I was a complete piece of shit, like, you wouldn't want me in your house. I'd fucking steal something, shit like that. So it's like, I've just had like a fucking big journey of growth to this point so far. And, the biggest lesson is like, you need to be open-minded. You need to be patient. You need to go with the flow. But other than that, I've learned a lot of things. I've seen a lot of shit play out in other people's lives and my own, that like, I get it, Oh, Zanana, you're older than me. Thanks for imagining us also young. Well, I guess that's just more. I only hear people's ages when they send me an email, and I get more emails from younger people than older people. So I kind of like, I guess because I'm getting that cross section, I picture that most of the people are either my age or younger. I don't picture people older than me listening to my bullshit, because most of the older people in my life they think I'm full of shit. Yeah, like in real life, they all think that they need to teach me something and I don't know what's going on. And I think I know too much and stuff like that. I'm not saying people tell me that specific thing. And that may be my perception of like how I feel people look at me, which is a problem with my social anxiety and why this medium is better for me to really express myself, because in person, I denigrate myself, I guess. In regards to Monero, super hard to get because it's private by default. Do you think that might increase demand? Well, if the need for private off-grid transactions becomes a thing, yeah. But you can't really tell me, and you know, neither of us can say for sure that the value of Monero isn't derived from A, drug markets on the dark web, and B, just trader fuckery on exchanges. And so if you take the exchanges out of it, what's the value? Are the drug markets, who are going to control most of the transactions, even if people are doing other stuff behind the scenes just to be anonymous from the government, not necessarily for illegal activities, the drug market is going to have most of the transactions, and they are going to control the value. What's the value going to be without the traders to make it that? So you need the exchanges. You need a free market for any crypto to really have value. So like scarcity and the supply and demand issue, like people are buying, institutions and stuff are buying Bitcoin now, not because they care about the market value, because they care about that it's just going to go up as long as there is a market, and nobody can take it, nobody can make any more, and whatever. I don't know if Monero has that same thing. Like they can make it illegal to hold Bitcoin. It's still going to have value. Unless every country everywhere makes it illegal, it's still going to have value. And I don't know if Monero has that, so it could. I'm not shitting on it, but I don't hold any of it. I'm not looking to buy it. And I'm rooting it on from the sidelines, Nolan, you really like my channel. You learn something new every time. Well, I'm glad. Yeah. And you wish there wasn't such a stigma on psychedelics. Neither do I, man. But all right, guys, my voice is giving out. It's midnight. Got to get up in the morning. Thanks Thank you so much, everyone. I know we've, fluctuated around 15 people right now or whatever. There's been 19 thumbs up. If you haven't given a thumbs up, give a thumbs up. That helps me kind of get a vision in my head of how many people listen to this nonsense. Um, uh, but yeah, your number one line that I said tonight was our fart of a lifetime. That's a good way to end it, because it's how I feel. That humbleness, I think everybody needs to feel about their existence, which really opens the door to gratitude. It's just remember, like, in the grand scheme of things, you're a fart in the wind, and I'm glad to be a fart in the wind with the rest of you farts in the wind. And until next time, thanks for helping find the others. Peace out, guys.